So hello students, I guess you are fit and fine at your place. Yes, so let's start today's class. Okay students, I'm going to show you something. Okay, so you have to identify that process of separation, okay, where we have studied in the previous class. So students, let's see what is that in front of you. So yes, so students, in front of you there is one beaker containing water and sand, and other beaker is being separated sand from the water, right? So students, you have to find it out the two processes here. First, I'm going to write it down their name. First is we have a sedimentation, okay, and second you have to find it out for the decantation. Okay students, so you have to think about what is sedimentation and what is decantation. We have studied in the previous class. So students, you will notice that in the beaker first containing water at the top and the sand at the bottom. So what we call those heavy particles are being settled down. So what is that process? Yes, very good. So that is, yes students, that is, yes, that is sedimentation, right? So this is the first beaker which is representing the sedimentation process. Okay students, now students, we have another process which is in front of you, that is decantation. For the decantation, we know that the other substances being settled down, that we call sediments, that can be separated from that water, so that we call, by tilting it the other beaker into other one, so that way we can get the clear substances or liquid. So that way you will do these two process of separation, that is sedimentation and the decantation. Okay students, so now come forward. Now students, we have an activity. Okay, so let's see what we have activity into it. So in the activity students, you have to take a glass and fill it with the water and add 1 spoon of salt into it and dissolve it with the spoon. So students, I have taken a glass of water. Okay, this is half glass of water I have taken. So students, I'm going to add into this a salt. This is a salt I have taken out. So I'm going to add salt into it. So you can see I have a salt, and this I'm going to dissolve into this water with this spoon. Okay, so let's see what we have in this next step. You have to dissolve it. So this kind of mixture we get, right? Now students, now you have to transfer this liquid into another beaker. Then you have to heat as like shown in front of you, that is on the right hand side with the Bunsen burner. Okay, so you have to do this activity with your presence of your mother when you have her at your home. Okay, so students, why we are discussing this, what happened to the water? Basically that it going to be evaporated, right? When we heat something, we get vapors. Okay, so we have a evaporation process involved into it. So students, what do we think is the process of evaporation happen after there is some vapors? Yes, so you can see there is some vapors are coming out from that. So what kind of vapors are there? Are they salt or water? Yes students, yes, it's a water, right? And you can see it in the right hand side that salt is being collected as all the water is being converted to in the form of vapors, right? So students, let's see what is evaporation. Okay, so evaporation, it is a process of formation of vapors from water. So you always do this activity for the evaporation happens from the water only. So this type of process is called evaporation. Whenever you have to convert water, let's see, this is a beaker containing water, right? And whenever you heat this, this beaker, So there is some vapors are coming out, that are students vapors of water. So these are called vapors. So the process in which the formation of vapors from water is happen, that we call as a evaporation. Okay, so when we heat, so basically students, this is another form of evaporation technique, right? Because whenever if we add more salt into it, so we can come to know that the salt is being left it out on the after all completion of evaporations of a water, right? So then we can say that this way is the other way of separation of technique of water from the salt. Okay, so let's see, when we heat water at a longer time, so if you heat more and more water for a longer time, so the level of water decreases, right? Because if you if you give the more heat to that beaker, so the more evaporation is going to be happen. So that's why the level of water is being decreases day by day. Okay, after some time, so that's way it going to be decreases. So that way evaporation happen, because we know that evaporation is happen for the water here only. Okay, if we talk about salt in water, as the heating continuously, all the vapor evaporates. So after some time, as you heat it completely, what is going to be happen? Continuously you are heating it, so all the water evaporates and the salt is being settled down at the beaker. So you can see on the in the beaker last we have a salt. So that way you can separate the two substances like water and the salt. So this is the another technique of a separation of the two substances. First is water and second is salt. So you will do this one. Okay, now students, there is one question comes out: how does our clothes are getting dried in summer season? Have you thought about it? Why in the summers only, the whenever you tie your clothes on the this type of thing, what do you think, why only for your clothes are being dry up in summer, not instead of whenever if we talk about winter season, it is not easily dry up because it's taking time. So what is happening? What is the reason? Yes, you write it down your answer in the comment box. From there I also will check it. What do you say about it? Yes students, yes, as you can say that in the summer we have a very hot season, right? We have hot season and the wind which is blowing, it is very fast, right? And the one of the important, that is sun. So sun act as a sun will help us to dry up the clothes, right? So sun help us to evaporate the water from the clothes. So that's why easily in the summers we can see that the water from the clothes are being easily come out to the reaches to the cloud. Okay, so that way we can say that our clothes are getting dried in summer season instead of more in summer instead of winter. Okay, so students, choose the correct answer, read it carefully, then give the options. I have given A, B, C, D. So you have to choose from these. Okay, and the two statements are there, you have to find out which statements are correct. So evaporation is a process in which water vapors are formed. Second, evaporation is not a separation technique. So these are the two statements, students. Now the options: A is only one correct, B only two is correct, both A and B are correct, neither one or two is correct, or E either one or two is correct. So students, that means for the option A you have to choose for one, B you have to choose only two, C means both are correct, D means none of them. Not A is correct, not B is correct, that is 1 and 2. and for E we have either 1 or 2. That means from these two, one is correct. So you have to choose it properly and then tell me what is the correct answer for this. Write it your answer in the comment box, students. Yes, students, very good. So therefore we can say that the option which is going to be correct, we know that only one is correct, right? Because students, evaporation is a technique in which water vapors are formed. So this is a correct statement, right? This is correct. But the evaporation is not a separation technique. This is false, because we know that it is a separation technique. We just separate the water from the salt, as salt is being left it out after separation, right? So this is a wrong statement. So that means only one is correct for this question. Okay, students, so please check out your answer, those who have given it, and check out that you have given the correct answer or not. Okay, now students, what is in front of you? Yes, it's a rasna, right? Okay, students, so have you ever made for you? So I have this type of, I don't have rasna, but I have this tank. So have you prepared for you and for your mother, father and your family? It is very easy process, right? We take a glass of water, right, and add into it so see, this way you can prepare for your family, for you, and so this is such a easy way, such a easy drink to drink in the summers, right? And it is very yummy. Let me drink it. You also try at your home. Okay, so students, now let's see what we have next. So we have an activity related to only. Okay, so suppose you have salt. Okay, so let me make salt for you. Suppose you have this kind of salt which I have. Okay, I have salt. So salt and sand. So in the first, this is a plate. So let me make a plate. There are two plates, students. In first you have a salt, and second you have a sand. Okay, in different plates. By mistake, your younger brother and your sister has mixed it, so you will get one single in which you have both salt and sand. Now students, what is going to be happen? Let's see. Now students, the question arises, now what will you do to separate them, as you have to use it very urgently? So students, you have to separate these. So if you want this salt, it is very necessary to add in the food, right? It gives your salt and flavory, right? So students, how you will separate the salt and sand together? Is there any separation technique in do you know that? Yes, is there any way of separation? Do we use this evaporation technique to separate it out? Yes? No. Very good, because we know that if we heat these two, I guess none of them is going to evaporate, right? So this is not a great technique to solve this problem, to separating the salt and sand. So what is the technique for separation these? So we have a technique which is called a process, that is condensation. Okay, what is that process, students? Condensation process. This is a separation technique of salt and sand. So let's see what is condensation, and then we move forward. Okay, so the process of conversion of water vapors in water. So this is a technique in which you can separate the water vapors into water. Okay, then we can say this is a condensation. You just convert the water vapors to again water. So this is a process. In the evaporation we discussed, you convert the water to vapors, but condensation you get from water vapors into water. So this is a process. So you can see students, in the first we have evaporation, right? It is going to be happen. Here it is some vapors are is happening. But you can see there is one more plate added. What is going on? Let's see. As the vapors are formed of salty solutions. So we can say that as salt vapors containing some salty solutions. So during heating, the plate of the ice cube are placed above the beaker. So you have noticed that we have placed ice cubes upon that beaker, right? What is going on? Then we have to take another beaker is being placed upon the plate, and after some time we can see that the water is being collected from the vapors, right? Again we can say that the water vapors is coming out, which is being collected with the help of other beaker which is into it. So this is important part, that is ice cubes, right? So it making the channel to move the water vapors into other form. So this is the way of condensation, where we converting the water vapors into the water, students. So make sure you have come to know that how you will separate the water vapors into water. Okay. So students, now we have another thing. Let's see. So students, list some activities. You have to tell me some activities of your daily life in which evaporation and condensation is used, right? So let me draw a line for you. Yes, students. So you have to differentiate. For the first, there is evaporation and there is condensation. These are the two techniques, right? So where do you see evaporation is happening? Yes, very good. So if we talk about in the water cycle, right? So water cycle is one of the important, where we can see the evaporation is happened with the help of the sun, of then the water vapors is being converted into the clouds, right? And the clouds, as you can see students, if this is a river, right, and this is a sun, and as sun giving the light, so vapors is coming out, and vapors is being coming out as into the clouds, form the clouds. Okay, and these vapor, so this is a process is called evaporation, right? The other process, these water vapor is being converted into the liquid, which is in the form of rain, right? So that is called condensation process. So these are the few techniques we have done it. Okay. So if we talk about it, for the evaporation we can separate the salt and water, and if we talk about condensation we can separate the, if we add into that salt and sand there is, so we can add water into it, so that it's going to be removed, right? So students, that way we can use the water vapor, condensation and evaporation process in our daily life. Okay. Now students, the process of conversion of water vapors and water is called, what is the process is there which is help you to converting the water vapors into water? What is that called? Write it down your answer in the comment box. Yes, very good. So that is called condensation. Okay. Now students, identify the name of image. Where are these children's? What is the place in your school? Have you ever visited? Yes. There you can see many students are standing on and they are doing something. What is they are doing? They are doing activity, right? And you can see many more students are there. And here also teachers are standing for helping the students what they are doing it, and is they are checking out they are doing correct or not, right? So that way students, this is basically a chemistry laboratory, right? So this is a chemistry laboratory, you can see it, right? So let's see what we have for the chemistry laboratory. So students, we have an activity we are going to do. We have taken a half glass of water and add a 1 spoon of, so we have half glass of water, students, you can see. Okay, now I'm going to add 1 spoon of salt. So I'm going to add 1 spoon of salt into it. I'm going to dissolve it. Now students, what do we observe, students? Where is that salt? Yes, the salt is being disappear, right? So let's see what we have next. So you have to add 1 more spoon of salt in the water, same. So I'm going to add now, students, what do we observe, students? You can see, students, at the bottom there is some salt is not dissolving. As I'm stirring with the spoon, so it is not dissolving. Why it has happened? What kind of, why the more salt is not dissolved in the water? What is the reason behind it? Yes, why the salt is being settled down at the bottom as we are stirring but is not dissolving? Because that is the solution which is come out at a saturated. Okay, so what we call that solution? This is a saturated solution. Okay, so let's see what is saturated solution. So a saturated solution is the solution in which the one, it is not able to dissolve more amount of solute. Solute means that is salt we used. Okay, so that is called saturated solution. So whenever students, if you heat that substance, that saturated solution, then you can dissolve more salt into it in the water. Okay, but if you will not heat, so will not dissolve in that normal condition. If we are dissolving now only, but we are not able to dissolve it because there is no condition for the normal to be dissolved here. But whenever you heat it, then it's going to be dissolved. So this is one of the important point to be noted. Okay, students. Now students, you have to tell me, express your thoughts on different separation techniques. So we have learned about evaporation, condensation, right? So do you find it out? It is a very easier way to find it out that these are the techniques to be separated out, right? So will you use these techniques to separate? Yes. These are very useful techniques in our way, right? So evaporation and condensation that help us to differentiate the two substances, or a liquid or a solid, right? And the decantation, sedimentation, these are all are the separation techniques. So these are the all are the important in our daily life, and we use it, but we don't know the name. But now students, you know the names, you will do those techniques at your place. Okay, so students, you have to give me the true and false. Please read the statement and then give me the answer. A saturated solution is a solution in which there is so much solute that if there was any more, it will not dissolve. So is it a correct statement or a false statement? Write it down your answer in the comment box. Yes, students. So this is a true statement, because that solution in which no more salt is dissolved, that is called the saturated solution. Okay, now students, let's recap what we have discussed in today's class. So we have discussed today's separation techniques: evaporation, right? Evaporation, condensation, and saturated solution. Dash and dash are the techniques are used in the separation. So we have evaporation and condensation. A saturated solution can be dissolved the solute by dash the solution. So if you want to dissolve more salt in the water, what you have to do? You have to heat the solution, right? Okay students, now these are the two homework. First you have to do a question. Okay, a lemonade you have prepared by mixing lemon juice and sugar into water. You wish to add ice to cool it. How should you add ice to the lemon before or dissolving the sugar, or in which case it is possible for you to dissolve more sugar? Okay, and the last we have an activity. You have to take 2 glasses and pour half glass of water in each of them. Okay, and then add 1 teaspoon of a salt to 1 glass and stir it. And for adding to the salt to the 1 teaspoon, this